What's up, Edmonton? How we doing? Let's hear it for Oiler great Ryan Whitney. They made me this. It wasn't exactly on the rack. We're going to have some blast here. We're thrilled to be back in Edmonton for the first time in 5 years. Apologize to any of you who came up from Calgary, but I'm going to wear this jersey for the weekend. Maybe we'll get to Calgary and I'll get an Iginla up there. Let's bring up our guests, and we're going to do a fun commentator Q&A. Sometimes we have guest fighters here, but we've got former fighters that are going to be on the broadcast on Saturday. Say hello to Paul, the Irish Dragon Felder. And then joining our trio is the former light heavyweight champion, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier.
Chairs are a little scary.
We'll take some questions. There's some microphones right there and then right over there. So we'll take fan questions in a bit. Media's going to start us off. I think we got Mike back there. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, sir. For both Daniel and Paul, of course, this will be the first event with new unified rules enacted. Have you guys brushed up on the new rules for commentary, and are you expecting to see any of these strikes thrown tomorrow night?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Paul and I spent hours going over the unified rules. We had a meeting this morning where we went over the
all right, I'll remind
elbows.
12-6.
That's it. It's up to Fitzy to tell us.
12-6 elbow. That's now legal.
Yep, kneeing.
And then downed opponent,
yes.
You'll have to have something other than your hands and feet. So this is not a grounded opponent. That's not a grounded opponent. You got to have a knee, you got to have an elbow, something other than your hands and feet.
We knew that. We knew that.
No. So do we think
I'm
we're going to
excited to see that one play out a little bit, to see if there's any confusion with it or if it's going to actually clarify things. Because usually when we get a new set of rules, it's, everybody's kind of not really sure how to implement them. But I think that should have been around for a long time. I really think it should only be, you have to be completely down. And for me, that means all the way down with basically your butt on the ground to get kneed in the head. But I don't see that happening.
And then another just for DC. I'm sure you knew this is coming, but a lot made of Derek Lewis's comments about you this week. You had a chance to run into him over the past couple days, and if so, did you guys speak?
I haven't. I've been. I got here and I was a little sick. We were in Abu Dhabi last week, and I was sick the last couple of days, so I've been home. But I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I don't know why Derek's mad at me. Kind of seemed like he was joking. He was smiling a little bit, so I'll be interested to see what's really happening when I run into him. I think he's going to be here in a few minutes, so him and I will talk in the back.
So when he says you know what it's about, you don't know.
Literally have no idea. But, I mean, who does, right? This is the same guy that takes his underwear off in the middle of the octagon.
We've learned to not totally believe everything Derek Lewis tells us all the time during the lead up to the fight.
He's funny.
We'll see what he has this weekend. Sean, go ahead.
Question for, mic on, yeah, we good? Check, yeah. Question for Paul Felder. Last week we saw, one of the craziest double spinning back fist KOs we've ever seen. You had one of your own back in the day that was one of the best of all time. What do you think of the way these guys are progressing, and just talk about that back fist from Shara?
I mean, it was so beautiful, too, because it didn't look random from him, right? He's the kind of guy that sets those things up.
Bro, there was a video that I sent in a group message, I thought to all you guys.
Yeah.
He was practicing that.
Wow.
That wasn't like by luck. He actually practices it.
And I think what's more impressive, too, is the fact that those guys had some extensive time training together, so they knew each other pretty well. So usually when you've done that kind of stuff to somebody over time, they kind of know your tricks a little bit, but he set him up, perfectly with that. And I just think that shows you the evolution of MMA and striking in particular. We're seeing it in jiu-jitsu, too, where guys are kind of making new stuff up and making it work for them and then pulling it off in the octagon at the highest level. So I think we're only going to see more and more creative strikes. Think back to when Anthony Pettis was the first guy to jump off the cage. Now you see it all the time. You're going to see more double back fists, I guarantee you.
And then another one for you. Dana White said after the fight with Ilia Topuria that Max Holloway still has the BMF title. There's kind of been these rumors going around of this BMF title tournament. Who are the guys that you would like to see if that thing would happen?
Poirier's always got to be in that mix. Max. I mean, who else would be good for the BMF?
I mean, Gaethje.
Gaethje's always around.
Dan Hooker at this point.
I think he really is probably.
Dan
Maybe
Hooker.
if I was like 3 years younger, I might have been in that mix. That's something I would have always loved to fight for. Is that?
Yeah, just those types of guys. Those guys that you kind of.
Dan Hooker for sure. I
Dan
think
Hooker
has
at this
really
point,
earned his
yeah.
spot as being a bet.
Just nobody that's going to try to wrestle. Like, that's it. As long as they ain't wrestling, they can be in the BMF
Yeah,
championship.
I'll give an international flavor, though. I'll put Charles Oliveira in that tournament as well.
Well, I think Charles Oliveira, like, he's still too close to the title.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be guys that, like, aren't necessarily close to the championship.
Chandler,
Fighting for the
the guy
BMF
who's fighting
championship.
that?
Chandler, like those guys.
And then one for you, DC. We saw Magomed Ankalaev get the win against Rakic. It's probably going to set up the fight with Poatan. Were you impressed with Ankalaev's performance in there, and how do you think that one plays out with Poatan?
I thought he fought well. I mean, he's a tough guy. Didn't wrestle at all. I don't know if that's kind of just showing us that he's willing to stand with Pereira. I don't know that would be a great choice if he was fighting him. But he's as good as they come. But I thought that he fought well. I thought that his opponent fought well. Rakic, I thought he fought well. I thought it was a good fight. You know, it's hard, man. When you get the elite of the elite, at times it looks like that. And I thought we saw a pretty good fight.
And then the last one, this is for both of you guys. Renat Fakhretdinov was a little bit critical of you guys on commentary last
I don't know what this dude was talking about. I'm serious. Listen, bro, he lost. I don't care how many times he complains. And that's the thing, right? These fighters, they go and they fight. It was so clear that the guy lost the fight. And he gets a microphone and he goes and sticks his foot in his mouth. That's the problem. He's a moron. And he just needs to recognize he lost.
That was kind of my question was, I mean, sometimes these guys can get upset because they think that you're...
Take it. Like, just take it. You got gifted a win. Take it. Just take it and keep your head tucked down until you fight somebody next time.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Sean.
Question for DC, actually. We all remember your Thug Rose commentary, and obviously Rose is in the co-main event this weekend. If all goes her way, she could be possibly looking at a title shot in a second division down the road, and you've done that. You've won 2 titles. How hard is it? How hard was it to you? And, you know, what do you think her chances are of winning a second belt are?
I think that Manon Fior needs to fight for the belt next. I think she's earned that. She's beaten everybody. She deserves a championship opportunity, but it will put Rose on a short list of people fighting for the belt. Look, she's talented. But honestly, I always say, man, winning a UFC championship, just one, is damn near impossible. So to have the ability to win more than one, it's crazy. But Rose is that type of athlete that could potentially do that. But I think what's most exciting is that we have these fighters in this division, and it just continues to get better and better.
And for both of you, a lot of good fights on this card. Obviously the main event, Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi. But what's your sleeper pick for this one?
Can I go first? Charles Jourdain moving down to bantamweight. He's had huge potential. Paul and I called his UFC debut. He was like 24. He was like on a week's notice at lightweight against a wrestler, Desmond Green, and he gave him hell. Didn't win the fight, but we were like, oh, this kid's for real. At featherweight, he's had some awesome fights, and then, you know, he was outweighed, I think, by like 20 pounds in the last fight. I was talking to him yesterday at the hotel. He's like, made weight at 145. I was 152 during the fight. That doesn't happen. So now he's down at 135. So I like Charles at bantamweight. I think it'll be fun.
That was the first one that came to my mind, and Zahabi as well, taking on an absolute veteran in that. And he's had 5 wins in a row. He had a great interview with us, and I'm curious to see how he plays out there.
Question for DC. DC, UFC 309 is right around the corner. Obviously,
Yes.
You've spent a lot of time in the cage with both John Jones and Stipe Miocic. I'm just curious as to how you see that fight going down.
You know, I actually spoke to Stipe last week a little bit, and he's in great spirits, big, strong, heavy as he's been in a long time. And I think that John Jones seems as motivated as he's been in a while. I think that is the type of fight that we all as fans of the sport love to see. And I truly believe that this is much more competitive than people think it is. Being that I've spent, an hour.
Almost 90 minutes.
Almost 90 minutes.
Almost 90.
Almost 90 minutes. I thought it was like an hour. I spent 90 minutes in the octagon with these two dudes. They both have very unique skill sets, very special, and it's going to be a good fight. And it's deserving of headlining Madison Square Garden.
Who gets it, DC? What's your prediction?
I can't. See, that's the beauty in commentating fights. I don't have to get anybody mad at me, even though Derek's mad at me right now, so I guess I talk too much anyways.
My next question is for the entire panel. We've just had the announcement of Ian Gary versus Joaquin Buckley for the UFC Tampa event in December. I'm just wondering how you see that fight going down. Paul?
I see a whole lot of trash talk going on
Yeah.
in that one leading up to it. I think those boys are really going to get after each other and have some words to say. And I think it's going to be really competitive, especially if Ian Gary can keep his range like he normally does. Buckley's going to have to work really hard to get inside that. But you want to talk about a guy who's motivated to make some noise in the division right now. It's Joaquin Buckley for sure.
Well, here's the deal, Paul. Like, you can see it playing out like Wonder Boy, where Wonder Boy was ahead. He's popping him at range, beating him.
Just takes one shot.
It takes one shot from Buckley.
he proved that in that
put you
last
out, and he showed
sure.
it. So I think this is the right fight because Ian Gary undefeated, Buckley's undefeated at welterweight. I love this fight.
And obviously we heard the bad news about Bilal Muhammad having to pull out of his fight at UFC 310 with a horrible toe injury. That kind of opened up the division a little bit. Is there anything that you guys, question for the entire panel, would like to see happen in the welterweight division? Maybe an interim title shot, maybe for Shavkat or someone stepping in?
No, we got to stop with the interim title, right? There's no need to make an interim title. Bilal just won the belt in when? July? June?
Yeah, it's only
What it depends on. Bilal's going to be on antibiotics for like 6 weeks, he said, he posted. So he's dealing with like an infection that might back him up for a little bit. So I wonder, I don't know if they'll rush to an interim in December. It's a good question because it has been so recent, but we'll see.
Back when I was fighting, if you got hurt, you had like a year before they made an interim champion. Now it's like people are calling for interim titles. You can almost will yourself into an interim championship at this point. Hey, Brandon, can we fight for the interim title?
I'm not Brandon. I'll fight you for an interim title.
Yeah, then we'll get an interim title.
Go ahead, man.
This question's for DC. DC, with John Jones fighting at MSG, it might be the last time we see him in the octagon. In your opinion, what's the greatest moment of his career? And on a lighter note, how does it feel to be the son of John Jones?
I thought Canadians were friendly.
One of the greatest moments. He's beat a lot of guys, man. The amount of champions that John Jones has beaten over the course of his career is very impressive. The guy has been a champion for a long time. He's done a great job. And it will suck whenever he's gone because the game is better when you have fighters like that in it. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of times where he hasn't been in it because of the things that he's done. And on a lighter note, fuck you.
Go ahead.
I had a question for the whole panel. With us being in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada tonight, I just wanted to know, out of everyone, who is your favorite Canadian prospect on the card tonight or tomorrow night?
Surrey City for me. I think he's only had one fight in the UFC, fought on the Contender Series against Ramon Tavares and knocked him down. It was kind of an early stoppage, but he still got the win, got into the UFC. And then he had to fight him again, and it was an epic fight. You can make a case either way, but he's only one fight into his UFC, and we've seen him only fight one guy from the Contender Series to now. He's like a striker, all action, Surrey City, outside of Toronto, Burlington, I think. Really nice kid, too. Awesome guy. I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike Malott, I think he's going to come back strong. He's young, and I think he learned a lot in that fight with Neil Magny, and I think I'm excited to see him come back with a renewed sense of urgency to get right back into things and put on a big performance. The kid's a stud. I mean, he's got great striking, great wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. I think he had a setback, and usually these young guys, I feel like you need to kind of go through that, and it's really about how you come back from that that's going to show us what you're made of, and I think he's made of some good stuff, so I think we'll see him come back strong.
Yeah, you know, you don't lose, you get a chance to learn. Like Paul said, it'll probably get better. I think that Jasmine Davisius is pretty good also. She big for the weight class. She can wrestle, and I think when you watch her at her best, you see one of the best fighters in the world. Consistency is going to be the key to her truly becoming what she can be, But yeah, she's one that I think is pretty interesting.
Also, anybody here from Consort, Alberta? Chad Anheliger's hometown, town about 600 on the eastern border of Alberta. I was just trying to show off my newly learned geography of Canada.
And just to add one last thing, DC, you could get off the couch right now. You dog walk half the heavyweight division. You the man, DC!
My man right there. See what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? Put some
Much better. That's
yeah,
much
some
better for
respect
you.
on my name.
Hey, oh, come on.
Go ahead.
Hello. So this is for DC and Felder. You guys are both awesome fighters. You've had great fights, epic. What have you learned from commentary that you would have liked to know back when you were fighting? Because, wow, you guys have been in fights and your commentary, love it. Just saying.
I think for me, I got to do it both. I got to be commentating and fighting, and I did learn a lot about the fact that this is a business, this is a show, and people only get behind you because of what you're putting out there in the cage and who you are as a person. So, you know, the more these guys are learning how to really put themselves out there as themselves, not always trying to be something you're not, right? The UFC is not necessarily interested in you playing a character all the time. Some guys have been successful at that, but really learning how to put who you are and showcase that, whether it be through social media, whatever you do. And I think I wish I would have just done a little bit more of that when I was right at my prime of fighting and winning the best fights that I had. I wish I had been a little bit more accessible, a little bit more out there and shown who I truly am as a person instead of just being so worried about wins and losses and trying to get to the belt. So I think that's one of the things I realized from being on the outside of it as somebody that's constantly an observer. You start to feel more like how the fans feel about the show. So you start to see that from a different perspective.
So I think what I always tell this to the young fighters, when I sit down and I chat with them, I'm just like, just take your time. Like if I could just take my time, that's one thing that I wish I did. I didn't get to fight long. I started fighting when I was about to turn 31 years old, right? And I did it for 10 years. And the whole time I was just sprinting to the next belt, sprinting to the next paycheck, sprinting to the next rivalry. I was like, I never really sat back and enjoyed it, and then it was over. Like that's one of the things I always tell these young guys. I'm like, man, you can win a number of championships, but the moment that you can't win championships, when you look back on it, how many times did you really take notice and go, man, this is some amazing shit? Because every time, I remember I'd fight on Saturday. I'd go home on Sunday and then be at my house on Monday and thinking you have this great sense of accomplishment. And then the moment the page turns and Tuesday starts, you're just sitting on the couch going, but I wonder what's next. And I just never really got to appreciate what I was living in. So that's the thing that I wish I would have done more whenever I was fighting.
And along that too, just to kind of go off of that, I think guys try to fight. They want to fight the top 5, the top 15 too quick. Similar to what DC's saying, enjoy the journey, fight the guys on your level, build up, work your way up there so that when you get there, you don't get to go, if you win and get into that top 10, you don't go back very quickly. We see it time and time again, guys who are falling off of the top 10. They're not given the 30th guy in the rankings. They're given the guy that's 14 and hungry for your spot. So I think really building yourself up to that and kind of taking more fights and fighting more regularly, even if they're not the results you want, just build up.
Well, it was great to watch you guys fight and commentary. So
thank you.
Awesome job, both.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Great question. Over here, Anaheim Ducks.
What's up, fellas? Hey, how we doing? Just gotta do some shadow boxing here. You said to give me $20 if I
Pay him.
$20.
Mitch, is that you?
It is.
Oh, what's up, Mitch?
What up, baby? Good to
Met
see
him
you.
at the hotel lobby today.
Yes, sir. They kicked me out, man. And what the fuck? Where's Pedro? He owes me a ticket. Anyways, is he back there? With the new rule set change, do you guys think wrestling's going to become less effective than it has in the past? It's been so dominant. Do you think with the rule set change it'll change?
It's actually going to help wrestlers. Think about this. When I can only remember how many times you have somebody down and then they come up and then like they're on their hand. Like I remember I was fighting Derek Lewis.
Tips of their fingers.
I was fighting Derek when they first changed it, and I was looking at Herb Dean going, well, is he up or is he down? Because I didn't know. So like now, there is no question you can just drive a knee into a guy. It's going to help wrestlers. It'll actually help wrestlers do more damage more easily.
All right. You don't think like a fail shot could make them have to face consequence for missing a fail shot. They could get kneed a little bit more.
I think it opens things up for both sides of the
Yeah, it does.
equation, right? Because if you're a striker and you get a guy and you stuff him and you turn him towards the fence, a lot of the wrestlers, they want to keep shooting in and barely be close to you enough and put their hands down, especially when they tire. Not guys that are doing things right, but as they fatigue, guys get lazy in that position. They find that as a time to rest. And if you've got a guy hurt and what he's doing is just stalling, basically, when they would do just put something down so they can't get kneed, well, now you've got to fight out of that position. And that's why they're doing it. They're forcing more action, and I think it's for the best.
Over here, go ahead.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
First off, I just want to say, Daniel fucking Cormier. Woo! I've always wanted to say that. My son, who's sitting over there, jokingly asked me if you're going to be commentating for the Jones fight. So my question to you is, I saw a little back and forth happening on a social media post where you were talking with John Jones. Is there still bad blood there? Do you give a shit about the guy or what?
I don't know that we were talking back and forth recently. Maybe like whenever if we say something to each other.
He shook your hand at Sphere. Came over, he shook your hand.
He always comes up to me now. I don't understand that. No matter where we are, it's like always coming up to me to shake my hand.
Well, you could come up to me and shake
It's kind of crazy too, because see this guy. Hold on. All right, Niner, come up here. Niner, stand on the stage.
Give it up for Niner, everybody.
Guys, Niner, stand on the stage. All right, so guys, listen to this. We're at the Sphere. This is the biggest show ever. Before the show, Niner is the stage manager. I go, hey man, John Jones is going to be here. Please, when he comes to try to shake my hand, would you please tell him I'm working, I don't want to be bothered. As soon as the show starts, guess who shakes my hand? John Jones. And he goes, what the fuck am I supposed to do? He's a coward.
Because I don't like you, DC.
He's a coward, man. This guy was supposed to protect me. He didn't do his job. He's a coward. So, yes, I guess we aren't great. We aren't great, and I don't think that we ever have to. I think people need to stop, longing for the perfect happy ending. Guys don't have to do what Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield did. It can be okay to just be okay with us being as we are. And I'm fine with it, so you guys should be too.
Thanks, DC. You're the best.
No problem, brother.
Thanks, guys. We only have 2 minutes left, so we probably won't be able to get to everybody. We'll go over here.
Brendan, DC, Paul, welcome to Edmonton, man. Great to have you guys here.
Yeah, love it here. Thank you.
So every time Dana kind of touches on coming to Canada, he says, he pushes it all the time. Canada, Canada, Canada. I just want to know maybe a question, brief answer, all three of you guys. We've done the Torontos, we've done the Montreals, we've done the Vancouvers, but what do you guys specifically like about Edmonton?
The food is awesome, by the way. Had great food, great people. As soon as you talk to people up here, the locals, I've been saying all week, I said if it wasn't so damn cold, I'd move here. Yeah. I'd move to Canada in any part. It's too cold for me, but I love it here.
I mean, look at how many people are here to watch the weigh-ins in Edmonton. It's awesome for people. You guys are great.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been super nice, and we just got free cupcakes at.
Yeah, we did. They gave us
Rosewood. Is that what the place is?
Rosewood Foods downtown. So good.
Right
I almost fought in Toronto once, and that was awesome. But most of my friends couldn't come.
I fought twice.
So when I got hurt,
twice in Halifax.
So when I got hurt,
Same thing happened to Ortega, right?
Yeah, dude. None of my friends could come. They were like,
bring all the
can't go to Canada.
And it's a hockey. I'm a hockey player. Love hockey. Massachusetts born. So whenever I can get up to the Great White North, I love it.
Thank you. Love you, DC.
Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, question for DC. With that back and forth with you and Derek Lewis, I think it's fair that you guys settle it with Popeye's Eat Off.
Oh. Popeye's Eat Off?
Who do you think wins that?
Yeah, I got to be honest, man. I'm so done giving Popeyes, free. It's over, bro. Whenever we did that whole thing, they gave me some free chicken. I was like, where's my money, man? You guys got more publicity than any time. So, yeah, I'm done talking about Popeyes. I love it. The shit tastes good, but I'm done giving them free publicity.
Thanks, CC.
Thanks, dude. Go over here.
Hey, guys. Thank you all for coming out here. I wanted to know, who are your top 3 Canadian UFC fighters of all time?
Ooh. Okay. George St. Pierre, obviously.
Easiest is one.
Obviously.
GSP, one.
George St. Pierre is obviously the best one of all time. Rory. Rory was sick. And
throwback to David Loazo. And
Carlos Newton was good.
Yeah.
Patrick Cote.
Patrick Cote was good. Big power. Yeah, a lot of good guys.
Really?
A lot of great fighters. Great country for fighting.
All right, one more. Go ahead on this side, we'll alternate, and then we'll wrap it up here. Sorry, guys, but.
All right. This is for DC. I'm wondering, given the new rule change, how do you feel about John Jones's only loss?
John Jones should be undefeated. He really
Yeah.
should be. I mean, a 12-6 elbow is crazy. But, you know, we only can fight under the rules that they give us. And unfortunately, there was a moron referee that said he should be disqualified. But he's undefeated.
I would agree. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. If you have a short one, I'll do one more because I'm nice, but then we got to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, it's a couple of questions for everybody.
He said fast, and he said, I got a couple of
Yeah, well, unfortunately, in the last Noche Mexicana, it was not, the results were not expected that many of us want. But for example, for you,
He's shadowboxing behind you, man. Turn around and give him some.
But
I'll pay both of y'all to fight.
I got it. Easy work, easy money, yeah?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, for example, from all the prospects that you saw there, Daniel, because you are a close friend of Cain Velasquez.
He's the best.
Who do you think, for all the guys who performed there, is the new prospect?
At Sphere. Is that what you're saying?
At the Sphere.
At the Mexican show?
Yeah.
Noche? Yeah.
You know, I got to be honest. Like, the kid, Ignacio, no, not Ignacio.
Bahamondes?
Bahamondes is good. But, hey, even though he lost, Zell Huber,
Yeah.
he's still really, really good, man. I think he's got a long career and a lot of success down the line. Also, Raul Rosas Jr. is pretty good himself.
Okay. And last one, is going to be Diego Lopez the next contender? Or
Say that again?
Diego Lopez.
Diego Lopez.
I think Alexander Volkanovski might be getting a rematch against Ilya Taporia. He defended that belt so many times. I mean, he should get a rematch.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, 5:30, we'll be out here for weigh-ins. All the great Canadian fighters. We've got 14 fights coming at you tomorrow. Thanks for coming out to the Q&A.
Thank you,
a lot
guys.
of tickets. We can't get this many people to show up this early to come have some fun with us. So appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you.